Welcome back to Viewpoint. I'm James Zogby. I want to introduce you now to a remarkable film produced in Jordan. It's called Captain Abu Raed. It's the first Jordanian feature film ever exported to the world cinemas. It's won 27 awards so far, and it's still winning more. In a moment, we're going to talk to the director, Amin Matalqa from Los Angeles. But first, let's take a look at a clip from the film.
أنت طيار؟
لا.
طيب شو هاي اللي على راسك؟
طاقية.
هاي طاقية كابتن.
ايوه.
من وين جبتها؟ أنت بتسوق طيارة؟
بسوق طيارة.
أنا أول مرة بشوف كابتن بحارتنا.
اسمع، أنا مش كابتن.
قل لي.
شو أقول لك؟
عن مغامراتك.
حبيبي، أنا ما عندي مغامرات.
صباح الخير كابتن.
It gets a whole lot better. Let me welcome Amin Matalqa, the writer, director, producer of the film. Born in Jordan, moved to the U.S., age of 13, directed 25 short films before making this his first feature film. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, sir.
I saw it last night, and as I sent you the email afterwards, it left me breathless. It's really quite extraordinary. I want to, just before we start getting into the conversation, take another clip from the film. Here the main character, the captain, as it were, confronts the children who want to believe him. Take note of the location on the scenery, rather, on the location.
لما كنت صغير كان عندي أحلام. كان يا ما كان قبل مدة من الزمان في واحد اسمه كابتن أبو رايد.
Was this the movie you wanted it to be? When you looked at the finished product, did it say to you, I did it?
Yeah, it was actually more than I ever expected. I mean, I knew from people's reactions to the script when I did like 30-some drafts of the script, and I knew people were really getting moved by the script, but you know, making a movie is like building layers, and when we started shooting the film, I started to see the performances that we were getting and the footage that we were getting, and just the, you know, I had the confidence because of Nadeem and just like the trust I had with the kids that we had something special, but just you get so involved in it, and at the end of the day, I would, like, we had 4 weeks to shoot the whole movie, so at the end of the day, every day I'd come home and I'd say, we had like 2 or 3 wow moments in terms of performance today, and so I started to realize, like, we have actually something that's better than the script. And it's, you know, you hear so many stories, and I read a million books just before we started filming about people's first experience making their first film, and you hear this so much, that just make your first film. It can, you know, it may not be very good, but just get your first film done. And I said, if we can at least just deliver the script and make it into a film, then we're gonna deliver. But the layers, the performance, the production design, the cinematography, all the people that work together put their 200% into the film. So it's much more than I expected.
You know, there are films that are just beautiful, and the story's thin, and then there are great stories and they're not well shot or edited. This is beautifully shot. The editing is wonderful, but the story is what drives it.
Yeah, of course.
It's a complex story. There are so many emotions in it and so many feelings and thoughts that run through your mind as you're watching it. Where did the storyline come from? How did it all come together? What were the sort of the inspirations that hit you as you started to sort of concoct this character and put him through the story that he lives out in this film?
Yeah, I mean, over the span of a year and a half, just organically it evolved with each rewrite. But initially, David Pritchard, my producer, said, just make a Jordanian film that's universal, something that Charlie Chaplin would want to be in if he were alive today. And I'm a big Chaplin fan. So in that spirit, the tramp, or the man on the street, the average person who we just dismiss, was kind of the initial idea. And like my father's a pilot, my brother's a pilot, so I grew up around the aviation and the airport and just these themes of traveling the world and all these things. So that was the initial seed. Okay, so who's a simple person in the airport, the janitor? We pass by this person, we don't really pay attention to them. And the same year I started writing, in 2005, my grandfather had just passed away. And so much of Abu Raed's spirit comes from my grandfather's sense of innocence. My mom's dad, he was 93 years old and still working 6 days a week. He was just a very wonderful, humble man. He was a doctor in downtown Amman. And just people knew him on the street, and we used to go with him as kids, and he used to tell us stories. So like it was a conglomerate of all these elements. And over the span of the first draft of the script didn't really have a conflict. It was about this old man and his friendship with these kids who think he's a pilot, and his friendship with this real pilot, female pilot, who comes from like the high society of Amman. And over the span of a year and a half, I just kept finding, okay, what are some themes where is the conflict in this? How is this something that can translate across the world, but also be local to Jordan? And it was a balancing act the whole time, so it evolved.
Before I get into the lead female character, I want to talk about the captain, Nadim Sawalha. I mean, he's a great actor in his own right. Probably, as I looked down read about the film, I think he's the only one who'd ever made a feature film before, and he's made a bunch of them. What was it like? What role did he play as a brilliant actor of enormous experience, dealing with these folks who've never been in a film before, and with I might say, with a writer-director who never made a film before? I mean, how did everybody interact with him?
There was a lot of love on the set, and like if you meet Nadim instantly, he is a storyteller. He is loaded with. He's a very funny person too, and he's very funny and humorous, and people love him. He's like, you just want to hug him. But also he has a lot of. He came to the role with a lot of philosophy behind it, and he brought this whole sense of things that are not on the screen, but this sense of Abu Raed is in this world but not of this world. He is in another life. He was a man who studied in the East, and he comes from this Eastern mysticism, and he had all these things that I would have never thought of because I don't have the life experience to look at these things. And so immediately he came with these things, and he turned this character into his own, and everyone saw his commitment and his humility on the set. And I think that's true leadership, is that Nadim was an example of how we can all just work together and really put our 200%. And
The
kids loved him. Yeah.
The female